Everybody, Patrick Hostis here. So I got some big news about the Las Vegas massacre here. So I've long suspected there was some kind of government involvement in there. It just doesn't make sense that if you look at the history of the Las Vegas Metro Police Department, they have been a very open department. If you look at their YouTube channel, they go into depth about all their officer involved shootings. They had a in custody death where one of their officers accidentally choked somebody to death. They were completely honest about it and did news conferences on it. They've had shootings where they accidentally hit civilians. There's all kinds of stuff they've been open about. So it didn't make sense. Why would they begin at the very beginning of the cover of their reporting to the media, Las Vegas Metro Police, in the right after the massacre itself on October 1st, they were very open. They gave a lot of press conferences. They answered questions. But by the end of whatever it was, their 8th or ninth or 10th press conference, they were combative. They were kind of attacking people for having the audacity to point out the fact that they have messed up the timeline at least 2 or 3 times. You know, things like that. It was just a complete change, and it obviously something had happened, but it wasn't something that we were all privy to, obviously. So it's well known that Stephen Paddock was prescribed Valium. Everybody, that came out very quickly in the investigation. Now, the known side effects of Valium include paranoid or suicidal ideation, impaired memory and judgment, things like that. Now, it's also been reported that many of the people that knew Paddock said he was a known drinker and he would often drink to excess. Now, mixing alcohol with Valium can obviously dramatically increase the effects and the side effects of the drug. So either Paddock lied to his doctor about his alcohol use, or the doctor was massively irresponsible, or perhaps maybe he wanted this effect, this reaction from Paddock. He wanted to drive him crazy. Now, before you decide which of those options sounds the most likely, you've got to hear who the doctor was, and you're not going to believe who prescribed him the Valium.
SOTT reports. The physician who last June prescribed accused Las Vegas shooter Stephen Paddock diazepam, a drug used to make some more hypnosuggestible or hypnotizable and induce amnesia, according to Las Vegas Review-Journal, and is Dr. Stephen P. Winkler of Las Vegas NV. Winkler is the Chief Medical Officer of Nevada 1 DMAT, Disaster Medical Assistance Team. DMATs operate under the direction of the Department of Homeland Security, and Winkler is thus what is known as an intermittent federal employee and also serves on a number of professional committees. NV1DMAT is also a division of Nevada's Clark County Emergency Management Agency, who just prior to the October 1, 2017 Las Vegas mass shooting, hosted at least one multi-agency mock mass casualty terrorism response exercise in Las Vegas. CIA code-named MK Ultra mind control programs experimented heavily with amnesia-inducing hypnosis, facilitated by certain drugs like diazepam. It's hard to believe that the very doctor who prescribed the shooter with the exact drug his group talked about using, and also staged a mass casualty even prior to the real thing happening, had nothing to do with this massacre. It raises a lot more questions as to who else was involved and exactly what they were trying to accomplish in the long run with this, but could answer why the story of this deadly incident seems to have disappeared. The question of government involvement has come up more than once, with one particular tie that Paddock had with government contractors that added a lot to the thickening plot last month. With this tie-in, things are getting even stranger. If you suspected a government involvement in the scrupulous planning that no average Joe is really capable of doing on his own, you were probably right. The mysterious Stephen Paddock is an average, faceless guy who blends into society despite being rather wealthy. Paddock had several investment properties and apparently at least one private plane, which ended up in unusual use after he reportedly sold it to an intelligence contractor who was part of Obama's administration. While that raises some eyebrows, what else was discovered about this alarming sale pretty much blows the investigation wide open as to why the FBI is protecting and even changing so many facts about this crucial incident that killed 59 Americans and wounded over 500 more. A few internet sleuths have taken matters into their own hands after the obvious disinformation campaign by the mainstream media surrounding the Las Vegas shooting, the Daily Sheeple reported. Before you board the skepticism train, the proof is in the information provided on via the FAA. Of course, this isn't something that CNN will be quick to expose, as it reveals the attack is worse than we thought and may not end with these 59 victims. Mike Toke is limited to a certain character count in the written portion of the tweet, so his message only says so much. However, he lets the evidence he lays out say far more than what the site limits him to writing. It's now becoming more clear than ever that the government is hiding the facts from us to protect themselves. The Daily Sheeple explains what the evidence in this tweet means and is not looking good for Obama's administration. Not surprisingly, the former president is nowhere to be seen since initially trying to come out as a hero, pushing for gun control, of course. Looking closely, the first thing you will notice is that the shooter, Stephen Paddock, had a pilot license and owned 2 planes. This is well-established fact. The tail number of one of those planes is N5343M, a Cirrus SR-20. You can see that this was owned by Paddock by going to the website flightaware.com. But Paddock doesn't own this plane anymore. It was grounded 3 years ago, and it's now in the hands of none other than Gov't LLC, which there is little information on. However, Gov't Associates is none other than a Department of Defense contractor. Meaning Paddock's plane has been in the hands of the United States government for the past 3 years and grounded since, if Gov't LLC is being used as a way to hide information. Considering what Gov't Associates does, that wouldn't be so far-fetched. But the plane's information is all easily verified here on flightaware.com. It's been in Roanoke, Virginia since April 25, 2014. Volants describes its mission on their website as providing the industry's preeminent professionals to discriminating U.S. government and intelligence and defense industry customers. The registration of this plane is also listed as active even though it hasn't been flown in 3 years. Strange enough yet? Well, it gets even better. The FAA should have this same information. But they don't. Their website shows that a different aircraft, a Cessna 152, maintains that tail number and it was last registered to a person in San Diego, California. The FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, is a government agency, and it appears that it has scrubbed this plane's information. Now, why would they do that? Well, the plot still thickens. In the age of the internet, with every reputable business being represented by some kind of a website, it's strange that a contractor company successful enough to purchase an airplane is practically nowhere to be found online. The only plausible reason for this is something to hide, or perhaps Gov't LLC is a cover company for the defense contractor. If so, inquiring minds want to know what they're trying to hide and why.
A big government bust in the Vegas massacre with who gave the shooter medication. And here's why the story vanished. Amanda Shea for M Political reports it's been a month and a half since the nation's largest mass shooting in modern history happened, with more questions lingering than answers. Until today. It's been known since the beginning that the shooter, Stephen Paddock, well, he was on diazepam, which is a drug that's used to treat anxiety, muscle spasms, and seizures. The known side effects of this controlled substance is likely to cause paranoid or suicidal ideation and impair memory, judgment, and coordination. Now, they state here that Paddock, he was a known drinker who often over-imbibed, which has particular damning effects on someone taking diazepam. Quote, combining with other substances, particularly alcohol, can slow breathing and possibly lead to death. But it can also dramatically increase the effects of the drug. Now, according to SOTT, they report that the physician who last June prescribed the accused Las Vegas shooter Stephen Paddock diazepam, which is a drug that's used to make some more hypnosuggestible or hypnotizable and induce amnesia. Now, according to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, and that person was Dr. Stephen P. Winkler of Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, ready for this? Winkler is the chief medical officer of Nevada 1 DMAT, which is the Disaster Medical Assistant Team. They state here that DMATs operate under the direction of the Department of Homeland Security, and Winkler is thus what is known as an intermittent federal employee and also serves on a number of professional committees. So now it raises a lot more questions as to who else was involved and exactly what they were trying to accomplish in the long run with this, but could answer why the story of this deadly incident seems to have disappeared. The question of government involvement has come up more than once, with one particular tie that Paddock had with government contractors that added to a lot of the thickening of the plot last month. With this tie-in, things are getting even stranger.